Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What's up?
Dave.
Hey.
Hi.
What's up, Kevin?
Nothing. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about tires and what makes tires
Cut
good.
the shit, Dave. What's the topic?
Tires.
Is it winter prep or is it tires?
It's
or
both.
Is it
Both. It's
Winter
encompassing
tire prep?
what makes tires
I can tell you
good.
that I don't know enough about tires to
I really
talk
don't
about
either.
it for over an hour. But
We should talk about multiple things here.
Yeah,
I do
sure.
have some
We'll
little.
go for it.
I don't have any. I have some fun factoids about tires, but nothing really super crazy.
Did everyone bring their fun fact?
you're going to be mad at me, but no.
Of course you did.
I got
Google
caught
something.
up doing stuff
Google
at work,
something.
Okay.
Just Google something real
Mike's
quick.
doing it right now.
No, I'm paying my PayPal thing for my order that I placed right before leaving work.
I did that as well.
Oh. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about tires and tire compounds and winter tires and what makes tires essentially good. And
Tires and tire accessories.
Yeah, tires. We sell tires and tires accessories. So, yeah. I don't have any daily ramblings. I put some non-Honda Bond on.
Again? It's been like a month.
Do stuff,
Since you
Dave.
had
I know,
something.
I know.
It's been 4 days, but yeah.
No. Well, you didn't have anything last time, and then he was
I
out for
kinda
like a
did.
bunch of time
All
before
right,
that.
all right.
It's been like
So,
a month since he did something.
I put
and I want him to feel bad for it.
I put non-Honda Bond on the tires. I put regular silicone because
Non-Bond?
non-Honda Bond.
Tell me it's
regular one?
orange.
No, it's not orange. It's black.
Copper RTV or whatever.
Yeah. Because I didn't feel like spending money on Honda Bond, and I was like, I have
so
this sitting
good,
here,
just
so I
buy
might as
it.
well just do this.
Don't
Well,
ever buy silicone again. Or, Permatex, like gray.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing as Honda
Yeah.
Bond.
Well, I don't know. I put it on there, and it's holding currently, so I'll do that until it doesn't hold. Kevin says that it'll probably not hold
Yeah,
as soon as it gets
as soon
dirt
as you
in
get
there.
some dirt or like push
Well,
the bead on its
see,
side. And
It's gonna happen
I
anyway.
don't know. I caked it on there pretty good. I don't know if there's going to be any
yeah,
dirt
but, like,
getting in
the
that
silicone
bead
I
there.
feel like is gonna rip versus the Honda Bond's gonna like
Yeah, probably.
rip on the outside and then still seal because it's still wet.
Whatever. As long as it holds air for the time being, I don't really care.
Okay, your choice. Whatever. Have fun cleaning it up later.
I will, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Salty.
The saltiest.
You're doing it wrong, Dave.
Yeah, that's it, really.
Okay.
I put snow tires on the wagon.
Well
Woo.
done, well
yeah,
done.
like whoop-dee.
That's more than I've done. Well, actually,
Yeah.
it's not true. But
I got a set of those general. Oh, that's what he's into this. I got a set of those general Ultimax Arctic, whatever the hell they are.
Those supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I found a couple sets of those on Craigslist or
Uh-huh.
Facebook when I was on the hunt,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of them out there, and I like the tread pattern,
Yeah.
and they seem like they have nice
Those are
siping.
ones
They're a
that
little
should
noisy.
Basically, be like off-road tires.
No, they're not
no.
that aggressive.
Yeah. They're-
I like those.
They used to be, but
those
they
Firestone Winter Force
the
ones.
Winter
No,
Forces.
the
So-
old ones used
yeah.
to be aggressive. They're gone now. You can't get those.
We had some sitting in the shop on some fresh Elza where somebody did the wheel and tire program. Thing.
Those
I
are
was like,
Hercules.
oh, man.
Hercules. Yeah.
Those look serious.
Yeah. I like
Forget
those.
what the name of it is. Like the brand is Hercules. They called it something like
Yeah.
something obvious, like Arctic or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Ice Force.
Snow
Yeah.
Force.
Ice Force 1.
Nice meats or something.
yeah, they look
Ice
awesome.
meats. But yeah, so I don't know. I picked those up from a guy on Facebook Marketplace for like $300. They're like brand new on Steelies, and I was like,
Red.
I need them anyways,
Yeah.
so I might as well buy them, and they'll last for the next 4 seasons or 5 seasons that I have the car, so I can't complain. But other than that, I haven't really done much. So
Wow,
that's all I got. Yeah, tires and things.
cool.
Yep.
I guess I haven't really done much either because I've made no progress on the Audi. Well, I guess we made a little bit of progress.
You've learned
Partial
things.
progress.
You've learned things that isn't.
Yeah.
So
At this point, I'm trying to find a distributor because I think the one that's on there right now is like the $70 Amazon one, and it looks
Ooh.
super sketchy. So I think it's just getting a intermittent Hall signal.
Yeah,
that
that plus the
that
fact
sensor should be separate though.
It is, but at the same time, like everything else that's inside of the distributor is also like not OEM. So it's
Yeah, just like a wheel
Somebody-
with little windows.
I
Like
understand.
somebody. It
Hard to
looks
fuck
like
that
somebody
up.
had pride on that little
Oh.
wheel to get it
Yeah.
off, and it's like pressed
Is that
on
main
or knurled on. Or
Did you
something.
check the main contact? Is it all like grody
I
and?
checked a lot of
You can
things,
see it was
Dave.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Checked a lot of things,
Oh, I'm sure.
and
It might be the same as the
Nothing.
one I have
has been like
in the
amazing.
parking lot.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, for $600. At least it turns.
Right.
It,
Well,
it
the
turns
problem
over
is,
though.
the distributor is NLA.
It's cranked a lot.
Yeah.
So
recently.
there's places that will service it for a cost,
Yeah.
and there are places that sell remanufactured ones for basically half the cost of what I paid for the car in the first place. So I'm about to be in this thing just as much parts as
When you
I
buy a
am in
car that cheap, you can't think about it that
I know
way.
this is
No.
probably silly to ask.
Doesn't
but
work.
Did you check Rock Auto at all?
Rock Auto only offers okay. You type in 1986, it only offers remanufactured service. However,
Yeah.
the distributors are the same, so you look up 88, and then they have remanufactured ones.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. It's the same part.
So how much is it? Like $300?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Right.
Why don't
There's
you
a guy on a
Have you
large,
thought
large
about-
chassis Audi Facebook group that I'm working with right now to get a
Yeah.
used OEM one. So,
Okay.
but
I mean,
yeah,
if that
two
fails-
times so far we have gotten like 5-6 sparks in a row instead of just the single spark that we
Yeah.
were getting before.
Mhm.
So that
have-
means timing's very close, and every time I like kind of deck with the distributor a little bit or like change the timing a little bit around, then
Mhm.
it kind of changes things. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have you
If it's
thought
not
about
that,
switching to
then-
an MSD conversion on that?
No,
Does
it
MSD
doesn't
offer anything for that?
work that way.
Well,
No.
do they offer a distributor?
No. There's
It's like tied into like the ECU because it does turbo things. Yes,
okay.
crank sensors. It doesn't. You can't just do that.
Okay.
It needs a crank, RPM, and Hall sensor signal. So the crank sensors were supposed to, crank sensors were supposed to show up today, but the FedEx guy like stopped a little bit past my house and then like didn't come back. I was like, okay, I guess that's not happening.
No car parts
So-
for you.
The other
Yeah.
day, I was expecting something from FedEx, and I swear, the guy drove by like 12 times, and then eventually dropped it at like 8 o'clock at night. And I was
Yeah,
like, I don't
maybe
know what
that
that was all
happens
about.
still, but-
Yeah.
Yeah. Efficiency.
This is like the big major drawbacks of working from home. I'm just watching like the delivery guys go by. I was like, nope, is that my package? Nope.
No.
Yeah. But Supercharger's gone. It's on its way to Canada.
Canada.
So probably order some turbo things pretty soon for the E36 here. Haven't touched it because I've been messing with the Audi this whole time.
Yep.
Going in circles, getting nowhere. That's about it.
Lovely.
Well,
Well, what did I do? Not a whole lot. Poking at the.
Drove your not broken Mazda.
I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
Let's see. Just been playing Boxer things all week, pretty much cleaning things, putting in new ECUs and immobilizers, which seem to have worked. Solved some problems there. On my way here, stopped by the Salins, race shop again. Grabbed a not chowdered convertible top for like $200 on a frame. So that's cool.
What are you in this thing now? Like $3,000?
Shut up, Kevin. No, actually, that's the first like real amount of no.
$400 on the ECU and immobilizer?
Right, but I can sell my old one, so I'm planning on recouping some of that back.
You're going to sell the immobilizer. That's basically just a circuit board.
See, I think it's yes, but this is not in a case. And on eBay, I found a case for it for $10. So,
So why don't you just keep that one?
no, because I think it's for the wrong car. So they change stuff like every year, and it was like missing a plug on it that mine had, and some goofy stuff going on. So
Weird.
I don't actually think necessarily anything was wrong with it. I just think it wasn't the right match to set. So it's worth something to somebody.
it'll work,
because,
but it won't work all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's besides the point. Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
Gonna go to pull apart tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
They got 2 super duties this week, and I need a couple parts, so probably go down there. That's all I got planned.
Which one? Akron or Canton?
Canton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to look at their inventory. I haven't been down there in a while.
Join me.
What time are you going?
I don't know. Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Before
I
they
won't
close.
join you, but if they have anything I need, I'm going to put in a request.
Well, it's going to be 30 degrees out, and I'm not doing it.
Right.
So
The only thing I need is an ashtray for the X5. It's missing. Like they must have thrown the whole thing away.
That
Oh,
is a
like
quick
the-
one.
Yeah, of the things I think you'd be willing to grab, that might be it.
So does it share any
If
fitments
not,
with anything
I
else?
don't really care.
I might be willing to consider it.
Yeah. I thought you of the ones that I could convince you to do in 30-degree weather.
Yeah. Depends on if the X5 has doors I can close.
It just comes
For the
out.
3 seconds it takes you.
I'm kidding.
It's going to take you longer to close the door. What did I do? I didn't do anything.
Oh,
I've been working on some X5 stuff a little bit, but like it's kind of work related, not winter beater related. I did order tires for it, so those should be here next week.
what kind of tires did you get?
Kenda Cleavers or something like that, like a 32-inch off-road tire.
There you go.
Cheap, which is nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see an off-road Kenda because we've done a bunch of the Drifty Boy Kendas, and I've played with them on like ATVs and bicycles and all sorts of other Kenda applications. But this is a new Kenda application for me. So
I think they're local here, too. I think they're somewhere in Ohio.
Yeah,
I don't actually. No. Weird.
I mean, it would
You'd
make
think
sense,
they'd
right? It's
be
like the
more-
would be nice.
rubber capital of the world, Akron, Ohio.
Right, yeah.
There's your fun fact. Got mine.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Before you all
look at 'em
could.
go.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, before we could even get into it, snuck that one in there.
Yeah.
Well, we were there because Mike didn't do anything except for order tires.
I feel like
I
it
ordered
would have
tires.
been more readily available if they were that close. I don't know.
I don't
Yeah,
think
but
they're
it's
that
like
here,
the
big.
why don't we
development
just-
thing. Like,
why don't we
obviously,
just-
no one's making tires here anymore.
Yeah, they must be coming from Super China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super China.
I don't think there's
As
any tire
opposed to
made.
non-Super
I
China.
don't think you could make tires here at this point.
I'm pretty sure
mass
they still-
production.
I haven't seen any
So-
rubber trees.
You're right. That's a good point.
Another fun fact: rubber is actually a tree.
Another
Yep.
fun fact: rubber doesn't grow in Akron.
No, no, it's very tropical.
Yes.
Them rubber trees.
Yet somehow, still rubber capital of the world.
Another fun fact: rubber's white.
Yeah.
Ooh, shit. You just going to burn them all just that quick, Kevin? I mean,
Question.
I don't see a paper in front of you today.
Here we go.
you can't be
what-
Googling them as you go.
This
That's
is the one that I
bullshit.
looked up earlier.
Okay.
It's the same
Dave's
one.
going to try us. We're going
No,
to do
no.
tire
No.
trivia.
Yeah, we're tire trivia. What type of chemical do they use to harden the rubber?
Ooh.
Oh, come on,
Engineers.
engineers.
Zinc or something?
Keep going. Everybody gets one guess.
I don't know. I'm not gonna guess.
No? Nitric acid.
Oh, don't fuck with nitric acid.
That's what I thought too. I read it. I was like, weird.
This
Okay.
is- yeah.
Yeah. No.
Interesting.
Uh,
Thanks, Dave.
yeah.
We used to play with, well, not play with. We had nitric acid in the, at the explosives company. It was a large contributor to how we manufactured certain blends of explosives, and that shit is no joke. We had to have like multiple people in the room and like make sure the shower thing was ready because like if you get it on you, it burns like immediately.
Yeah, I'm really kind of wondering how they found that out in like 1830 that they were like, oh, if we put this rubber in nitric acid, it makes
They
it hard.
probably didn't at that point.
Yeah.
No,
the
it's
tires
probably-
probably didn't last very long.
Well,
Right.
no, it was probably a happy accident, and they were like, oh, weird.
You were supposed to use the shower for that?
Yeah, they
I
were just-
feel like
they were
you're-
just
You
playing
make it-
around with
water was the way to
Really?
rinse
Water?
it off. Yeah.
Okay.
It is
That's tricky
rinse-
business sometimes
yeah,
too. It's 'cause
you're burnt
that'll-
already.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does eat like anything organic. Like
Right.
we've had it leak onto pallets, and then the pallet catches fire because it
Oh,
or nitric acid got into it, and it just eats the wood.
Yeah.
Danger.
Yeah.
Shit's no
danger,
joke.
Will Robinson.
So it
Makes
could potentially
everything-
be used to get rid of crap in your garage you don't want anymore.
Or dead
like
bodies.
And the garage.
B7 Corsa parts that are just sitting there and not doing anything.
Like bodies.
Yeah, I would get rid of bodies and
It doesn't erode ceramic, right?
no
Okay,
glass,
yeah,
ceramics like
Certain plastics.
So yeah, if you're gonna get rid of
Plastics.
bodies, you gotta put them in ceramic and then fill it with nitric acid.
Yep. But you didn't hear it here.
everyone's seen Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
Come on.
seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they don't use the right containers and
Yeah,
it leaks through
don't
the floor.
use your bathtub. That's,
Right. This is the wrong kind of material. But yeah.
I don't know. How do we segue into tires?
Well, we already
Carlos
kind of
bought
So-
segued
tires.
there.
What's the?
I'll segue my way into.
I'm only interested in like good tires.
Well, yeah.
Ooh.
Like,
But you
what
kind of
make-
need
what
to
makes a
run
good tire?
through the basics.
What
tire
constitutes
basics
a
here.
good tire? That's
Okay.
what-
Everybody really cares about tires, and so they don't know about sizes. They don't know about
Right.
like date codes,
No.
wear ratings. You know,
Yeah.
which
Speed
is an
ratings.
interesting topic. in
yeah,
itself.
wear and speed rating.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just
Breeze through this is pretty basic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it
for
doesn't- we
us.
don't have to.
Wear
bring
ratings
we have
make
to
believe,
respect the
but-
educated listener base we have. So
That's a good point.
It's
We
true.
I don't care
we
as
don't
much
even
about
know
the
that.
sizing. That you should be able to figure out the sizing.
That's fair. It takes like 30 seconds to explain. But anyways, the thought of it was because, like pretty much everybody else did this week, mounted winter tires and everything like that. So it was like winter prep related.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, well, yeah, we could talk about winter tires, but why not?
what else do you do for
All of
winter
them.
prep besides like oil spray?
I don't know. You want to change your oil for winter? I mean, some people,
I usually do.
it's
It needs to
not
be.
not a bad time to do it, especially if you're
Check the brakes.
anal about the weights and things like that when it's really cold out.
Yeah.
But
Nah.
I'm just saying, it's a thing you could do. Winter wheels and tires is a good one.
Yep.
Making sure your car has coolant, not water in it.
Yeah, you should
that's
stay
a
on
big
top
one.
of that regardless.
Yeah.
And, I don't care if you're in like SoCal or somewhere where it doesn't get cold. You should run coolant.
Yeah.
The corrosion inhibitors alone.
Yeah,
It's worth it.
for sure. Even just a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't like to do like full 50-50 in anything.
Yeah.
I also don't care enough to measure.
Right. It's the splash of this, splash of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's enough. But
That's why they have testers.
right.
Yeah. Test it after the fact.
And then like making sure some stuff works because nobody likes working on cars in the cold. So it's just basic maintenance stuff, Checking
When-
on things that would be under the car that you don't want to have to look at.
I feel like tires, cooling system, and like basic oil changes and other things
Yeah.
is like pretty common.
Yeah.
Making sure your cabin filter's not all gross, but that should be a regular thing.
What about
anyway.
winter prep for the thing that you're not driving?
Ooh.
Mouse traps.
Yeah. Mothballs, mouse traps.
No, mothballs are gross. It's
I know.
Oh, okay. So I got to go on pretty unrelated, but
All right.
like consensus on like putting a car up on jack stands because some people are super weird about A, either flat spotting tires or B, suspension travel related things like fully exposing shock shafts.
Right. I'm not into the letting everything droop thing.
Yeah.
No.
But I
I've
also
also seen strut mounts delaminate because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're worried about flat spots, like start the car every month or so and like just roll it around a little bit and then
Yeah,
bring
That's
it
pretty
back.
much what I usually do.
Bring
Yeah.
it back to its. You should be doing something like that, or at least a battery tender anyway, to
Right.
make sure that the thing still
Battery
works.
tender. I've been guilty of killing many batteries for
Yeah.
this reason.
I got a whole shelf of batteries that.
I have so many of them. I'm like, how do I have this many and not like it's
always-
like more than enough for cores
Yeah.
for anything that I ever want to buy.
Right. But
Yeah, flat spotting is a thing. I wouldn't do anything on a lower tread wear tire.
Yeah.
You should not leave sitting.
Like a performance,
out
performance
there.
summer tire. That's worth taking
throw some
off.
junk wheels on the thing if you're gonna
Yeah,
let
if it's
it
just
sit.
gonna
Just
sit
warm
there.
up to like 60 psi and
Yeah, just let it eat. But like I've heard of things like people moving cars around on our comps when it's below 30 degrees out and the tire actually cracking.
Well, that's not
Yeah.
even so much an
Oh,
issue
weird.
of like putting weight on it as much as it is
It's
the
cold,
thermal
but-
cycling and
Yeah.
things like that. But they really don't like the cold.
if they're cold. If you're cold, they're cold.
Bring them in.
Bring them
in.
inside.
Yeah.
Yep.
that reminds me, I should probably swap. Oh wait, I think all my 5x100 wheels are gone.
Womp.
Wah, wah. I think all I have is this BBS's left. Maybe I'll buy a junk set. 'Cause now that you
Usually,
remind-
if your garage is attached to your house, it's not like
Yeah, you'll be
that big of a
fine.
deal.
no,
If you're living
I'm just
outside,
talking
Missouri,
from a flat spotting point.
you'll be fine.
Yeah, I know. I usually move it around in the garage a bunch of times, anyways, during the winter.
As long as
Usually
you're not
working
running
on
the slicks, they should be
Yeah.
all right. And you
Got
know,
them
heat
Federal-
cycle them once in the spring, and they're good to go.
Federal 595s, bro. Those race tires.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're,
Yeah,
They're all right.
all right, that's
Yeah.
winter prep.
Yeah.
Pretty basic stuff. So
Yep.
talk about race tires.
All right, Kevin, with
Race
your
tires.
fun
Fancy
factoids.
tires.
even
My
though
fun
Kev-
factoid.
We should make Kevin a sound intro for Kevin's facts.
Ooh.
Fire up the soundboard, Dave. Let's go.
We should get a soundboard.
It's gonna turn into
No,
a radio talk
I want
show.
nothing to
Yeah.
do with any of you guys having control of a soundboard.
No, I would
Including
just
myself.
have control over the
I want a
soundboard. It would just be me.
That you're included
But that'd be funny.
for you.
Guys, you should leave a comment on our Instagram post on whether or not we should add a soundboard to the podcast.
Is that gonna spice things up enough for you?
I think it would.
Yeah. Invite.
Fun facts with Kevin. All right, Kevin, come on, Mister.
What kind of sound do you have first? What kind of sound
I feel
do
like
we
I
have
kind of
for-
want to use one of those like
DJ
rap,
air horn?
Yeah, the rap
Yeah,
air
that's what
horn.
everyone uses though. Come on.
Yeah, but like that's perfect for.
We need like a chicken clucking or something.
All right, Matt, you hear
Whatever
that?
you want, yeah.
Chicken clucking and for Kevin's facts.
The rubber chicken squawk.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, since we're doing like questions or trivia over here, how long does a top fuel dragster tire last?
Ooh, 2 runs.
Half a run.
I'll go 2.
2 passes?
2 passes.
I think it's a lot longer than that.
I think it's 2.
I bet you everything's so expensive. I bet you 1. I don't.
Rear tire? Not all tires, just
All
rears.
right, Dave. Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
2.
how often do they change them, or how long are they good for? Because that's a different.
Well,
Hold
that's
on, we're
kind of
getting
what
into
I was thinking
technicalities
about.
here.
If nobody
How
run-
long are they like worthwhile for competing with?
2 passes.
I'd say 5. I'm thinking more like 5 or 10, but 5 is safe.
I'm just gonna go low end of the spectrum. I'm just gonna stick with 1.
Okay. According to the internet, it's 4 to 6.
Oh
4 to
wow,
6.
look at that.
So you get
Wow.
about
So 5.
Wow. Average equals
in,
5.
in perspective, you get about a total of 2 miles of driving on a set of tires between like the quarter mile plus like coming back to the pits and all that.
Yeah, but
So-
they pull the
That's
rods
actually-
out every run.
All right. So,
like,
so my question is
That's my fun
that
I like
because
that. That's a
of
good fact.
actual like loss of rubber on those, or is it because of how much those things like move around, balloon, belts, all that stuff? They
I was
probably don't
thinking
even have
heat
belts,
cycle.
but
You don't have that many
it's gotta
fun
be
facts.
Heat cycle alone would
Yeah.
make.
That's a good point. It could just be a heat cycle thing. They
This
might
wasn't
just like
in-
delaminate through any more than that. You
Well,
know?
I mean, you think about it. What 4 runs? Well, yeah, that's the problem because you're not running consistently,
There
right?
is some
So you
serious
gotta sit
burnouts
there
on those
for-
things.
Yeah.
They do ridiculous burnouts.
And
So-
to watch them stand up and balloon, that's my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yep.
Back end of the thing rises like 6 inches.
Yep. It's weird.
They're also like 35s.
Yeah.
Yeah, they ain't,
Real
they ain't small.
slickies.
Yeah.
So you got some
Pre-balloon, they're
surface
35s.
area on there.
So
I don't know what that tire looks like when it's doing 350.
Yeah.
miles an
It
hour?
probably looks like a stretched tire.
you ever rev up a nitro RC car and watch the tire go from like square to pyramid?
We should get some of those.
Oh no,
Nitro
is that
RC
our
cars?
CAD to cars
Expensive, but
investment?
I can
It's
see a little
expensive.
track back
Yeah,
here
they're
at
just
Kevin's
like
too.
it's
What do you
way
mean?
too easy to break those things. And
They're
like,
so expensive.
Yeah.
I have all of them still, and I haven't
Yeah.
been using them in years. But
Oh,
like,
if
probably
you
for
have-
that reason. Every time
Yeah.
every time you bring it out, you're like, I broke something else.
yeah, I'm not in it, so I break it immediately.
Yeah.
Right. Those are fun though. I do enjoy remote controlled things.
Yeah.
I always have.
All right, let's not get down
Yeah,
that
rabbit
rabbit
hole.
hole. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So even though Kevin doesn't want to talk about it, I still think it's worth going over some of the basics here in terms of
Let it
size.
rip, pal.
I'm just saying.
we can
that-
skip size.
I'm just
if
saying,
you
like,
really
give
want.
it a quick once over, you
Yeah.
know, and
Give
let's
her
not
a-
get like too
give her a
far into
quick
it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Will.
You want me to do it?
I mean, you're the one.
Yeah, if you want to do it, then get after it.
Oh.
Otherwise, stop.
Now I feel like everybody's against me, and I don't
No.
want to.
I'm just waiting for you to do it.
I'm not against you, Will. That's fine.
All right,
Two-
so
two on
tire
two.
size is easy. Your first number, 3 digits, usually, hopefully, is the width in millimeters. Second one, aspect ratio, which is a percentage of that width. And third one is the diameter, inside diameter, or the
Rim
rim
diameter,
size,
yeah.
that it should be mounted on. So when selecting a tire or selecting a wheel for said tire, the combination of all those things is pretty important, especially based on like what like overall dimension you're going for, as I'm sure Mike recently did some planning.
some math.
Did you do any planning there?
I did some math.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Or was it just that was like a good size and you're going to find a wheel to make it work?
I have the wheels.
Okay. What wheels are you using?
Those Modas.
Oh, that's right. You said that, yeah. So, obviously stretch is going to be determined by kind of both the first two numbers, the width and the aspect ratio.
And the rim width, which is not included in your initial description there.
Of
But,
the stretch, yeah. But we were talking about tires, not the. Go ahead. Go ahead.
See? No, I'm just poking holes in your plan.
You have an example? You go.
Okay, so the other things on tires
Jesus.
are
All right.
the
So
speed
there's-
rating,
Okay.
which has to do with how
Which-
fast it can go before it's not good.
Which basically doesn't matter.
Before it
Yeah.
debeads.
Unless you're doing like
I don't
Texas
pay-
mile stuff,
Yeah, I don't
it
pay
doesn't
attention
matter.
to
It's a
this
safety
at all.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a safety thing.
There's a
but
load rating on
That matters for like trucks.
Right.
Also, I
Yeah.
don't pay attention to that either.
What's the
You should for trucks.
Well,
But
Yeah.
What's the most common speed rating? I don't remember. It's like
W, I think.
I don't even know what they mean anymore. Those are W's. I can see that from here.
It's like what 130, 140, something like that.
That sounds about
160?
right.
Something like that. Yeah.
Don't quote us.
Yeah.
Don't listen to us at all.
Well
Just
over,
safety
well over
stuff.
100. But
There's a treadwear rating, which is done by like third parties and is kind of ambiguous.
Acronym for that, UTGW, something like that.
I don't know. I know it's make believe. Essentially, it's how fast they wear. It has nothing to do with grip. But
It's funny, if
sometimes
you-
it's a loose correlation. People think it means grip. It doesn't necessarily.
And there's also a
Interesting.
traction letter.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Which is also kind of made up in their testing forms as well.
Right.
There's like a trailer they tow at a certain mile an hour, and it's how much force that applies when they lock up the brakes or whatever. It's
But the
interesting.
interesting thing about the tire wear rating is, like you mentioned, a lot of people use that when comparing tires and seeing like what's going to be the stickiest or something like that if you're looking for performance. And there's no standardized testing procedure for that number. So all manufacturers kind of just make it up. They, slap a number on it in order to compete with somebody else essentially. So
Interesting.
that's why there's so many different, you can compare RE71Rs versus, I don't know, like a Maxxis tire or something like that. They're both 100 treadwear rating, and there's just wildly different reports on both the amount of grip that they have and the amount of life.
Yeah.
And that's because none of it really matters.
Right.
So
It does kind of give you can kind of use it as like a very loose rule of thumb on the heat capacity of the tire, especially from like a drifting standpoint. The lower treadwear stuff generally can handle a higher heat range. It's not good at cold heat ranges, is better at higher heat ranges. But if you tried to run a 500 treadwear tire on a drift car, you'll delaminate because it's meant to run at a wide range of temperatures down into like the colder range and can't handle the higher heat.
Right.
So that's when you start getting delamination pockets and all sorts
chunks.
of bad things that rip your fenders off and immediate failure.
Right.
So
So then we have day codes.
Day codes, that's an
Day
important
codes.
one that
Yeah.
not enough
Yeah.
people pay attention to, probably.
If you're like planning on like driving your car in any type of performance aspect, they usually look for like something that's less than 3 years old.
Yep.
The day code's a 4-digit code. The first two numbers being the week of the year that it was produced, and the last 2 digits being the year that it was produced.
Like 6519 would be
right.
not a real date, but
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense.
65th week in 2019.
Right.
So,
So like it was
2020.
made in 2020.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, like after like 5 years, tires probably aren't safe for like performance stuff.
No.
Right.
You can
But
start
I don't
to
know on the street.
yeah.
Yeah, for just
Yeah, it
driving
depend-
around.
Well, it
it's
also
fine.
depends on it depends how you store them though too, or how they were stored.
Oh yeah, you can ruin tires pretty easily.
Yeah, you
but
can. If you're storing them in like a moist, non-dry area, that's not good. But also
moist,
very, very.
non-dry.
You think moist is bad?
I think too
Is
moist.
moist
is
worse
bad.
than dry?
I think
it
dry is
doesn't-
also
it's
bad.
not moisture though; it's ozone, so
Right.
which doesn't correlate nicely.
No.
No.
It's kind of unrelated to the temperature.
Yeah, but you can definitely store them in a place that you'd think would be fine, and then they're dry rotted immediately. So
But
I
yeah,
don't know enough about
I
it,
pay
but-
probably the most attention to date codes when
Yeah,
buying
for buying,
used
especially,
tires.
yeah, especially for buying used tires.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
these things are 5 years old. They're not worth anything.
I
Basically,
haven't bought
there is an
many
older date
new
code
tires.
than that too.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
I think
too.
it's prior to 2000 or something like that. They had a different configuration. So if it doesn't jive with the whole 4 digits, those
Don't buy
tires
them.
are super ancient.
so,
Yeah.
so old.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
that's the basics.
That's the
right?
basics,
That's
yeah.
the
Yeah, I think so.
The letters and the numbers and the stampings and the tires.
Now let's get into the most important bit: tread pattern.
Yeah, honestly,
I know nothing about this.
I don't know
No,
anything
it-
about it either. It's all looks to me.
no, yeah, tread pattern makes or breaks the look of a vehicle, in my opinion, just like
Yeah.
cosmetically. And it's hard to pinpoint like what looks bad and what looks good.
Yeah.
But the wrong tire on things can make it look like a shitty car pretty easily.
It's true.
So
I think it's like also it's related to me in a way, like to the aesthetics of a car. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
want like on Kevin's Audi to throw like the Toyo Proxys on it that had like the super swoopy
no,
like weird tread pattern. Like
Yeah.
just I'd feel like it wouldn't look right on that car.
That would look
No.
sick.
No, maybe.
if they were like super wide and the
Drop
car
They
it
would
was
have to be
down,
so.
yeah,
They would have
yeah.
to be so
I
wide.
don't know.
Yeah.
I think
Need
those
the
look good in
grips.
anything.
Yeah, if you could get like 285s under it, sure.
Well, something else to say that's
Oof.
worth mentioning is that the tread pattern is not uniform around a tire ever
No.
for harmonic reasons.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
No. Yeah. The tread blocks, if you actually measured them, don't work out nicely. Like they're doing
Otherwise,
stuff.
they'd make a lot of noise all together at the same time.
That's
so
what
let's- so-
our old coworker Kyle Reed does now over at Bridgestone. He was telling me about some of that.
He makes
a while
up tread
ago.
patterns for.
No, like he has to deal with like when tires like cup and do weird stuff or like have strange harmonic issues. Then they start messing around with the tread blocks and figuring out what's going on.
You know,
Which is interesting.
Hindsight's really 2020, but it would have been nice, with some forethought to invite him to the podcast
Yeah, that would
for this
have been
episode.
in hindsight.
Yeah.
That would have been a
That
great
would've-
guest for
that
this
would've made-
segment.
Maybe we could do a follow-up episode on
Yeah.
this then. And
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
have to see if Kyle's interested.
Yeah.
That would work.
Oh, Kyle.
But I was going to say, I think that does sort of segue into like the function of a tread pattern and what it accomplishes. Sometimes not a lot. It is sometimes designed just for looks. And from what I understand, there's not actually a whole lot of science behind designing a tread pattern for a
It
tire.
seems like
Well, I
trial
feel like
and error.
there's
yeah.
I feel like I feel like they pay attention to a lot to rain channels probably.
Like,
the
yeah,
That is the
most.
biggest
don't
difference.
push the water towards the middle so it makes
Right.
it float all the time.
Right.
Right.
Push it towards the outside to
Depends
make it.
what kind of
not-
tire it is.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, slicks. Okay, you don't care about rain.
But
Well,
like
yeah,
the
of
tread pattern
course.
makes a huge difference if you're talking about dirt racing stuff of
Yeah.
any kind. They'll,
Oh yeah.
reshape blocks just for a certain, temperature range of dirt. Like,
Yeah.
it's,
I mean, it's the same thing with
wild.
tractor tires. That's why tractor tires look the way they do.
I mean, you
Yeah.
have directional tires. You also have inside-outside only
Yeah.
tires.
Wouldn't that fit in the category of directional? Though?
No, because there's
No,
directional with inside-outside, or there's.
Oh, okay.
yeah, you can combine the two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is always easy to identify what type
Yeah.
of tire it is too, based on like kind of what it looks like almost too. And when it has, what if it's like an all-season tire? It has like all these different features. It has like
Right.
dry performance
Rain
tread
trays,
on like part of the
yeah.
tire, and then it has like siping for winter modes.
Actually,
and it has
I have a question.
Should we kind of go over that? Like,
yeah,
siping is the little tiny grooves,
little squiggles.
little squiggles that basically
Yeah.
make the blocks a little smaller and softer, so they conform to, softer surfaces. I guess I don't know, like ice and stuff is a lot better with siping. So seems
Yeah,
like
I
more
mean-
surface area. It just distributes the load a little better.
Yeah, and of course, with colder temperatures, the rubber gets harder regardless.
So yeah, you're
obviously-
softening it.
Right, you're basically softening it without using a softer compound.
Right.
Yep.
And then, like, directional blocks generally, like your traditional V-tread kind of bites into the surface and is kind of acting like a wedge into the
Yeah.
ground. More so with softer surfaces than pavement, but it's still kind of same theory applies.
Yeah. It is always interesting to see, like, as a tire wears, how the leading and trailing edge of the blocks are, like, backwards
Oh, yeah.
almost. So,
Well, just on a rear-wheel drive car, the driven wheels versus the braking wheels is a huge difference because
Yeah.
you see the ones that are constantly braking wear the complete opposite, and they're constantly like rounding over the edges of the blocks. So that is interesting.
yeah.
And for pavement, rounded over edges, or hard surfaces, I should say, rounded over edges are a lot more grip. But on softer surfaces, the hard edges are better. So even like rock crawling and stuff, you have to break in tires, and then they get all round and soft. And it's basically because like the hard edge will lift up the rest of the tread block. It kind of acts as a lever. So that's why they shave in track tires for road racing and stuff like that, is the shoulder of the tire will bite in and it lifts up the center of the tire when it's loaded like that, and you get less grip. So as you wear that shoulder off, the whole thing kind of lays down and flattens out.
It is so wild, just the number of dynamics there are to a tire and
Right.
how they work differently in every different scenario, whether you're turning or braking or accelerating or there's just
And it's like the loosest
How
science
much
ever.
air
Oh, yeah.
you have in them, how hot they are.
right.
Right.
The temperature is outside.
Yep. Is the sun shining on the left tires versus the right tires?
Right, and then there's, of course, mold release is like a thing that's related to the tread or contact patch of a tire. So that's, a thing, why they say break in tires and things like that. And also why in a lot of forms of motorsport that they shave tires.
You
Yeah,
don't
that's
necessarily need to shave them as much as just scrub them in.
Yeah,
Usually
they
with
can
a-
be
like
very
a
dangerous.
race tire, you can't just go out and brand new tires. Well, you can, but not advised.
You can't go 10 10/10 on brand new tires right out of the box.
Yeah.
You will be in the woods.
Yep.
They got a slick layer on them. They
Yeah.
especially pay attention to that on motorcycles.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Danger.
Yep.
Yeah, if you can find those like beveled curbs and kind of play around and ride on those instead of, so you're not leaning the bike over on like a fresh tire where it's still mold release. You
I
can
was
kind
so
of
nervous
scruff
about
them
that
in
when
that
I
way.
changed tires on my bike for the first time. Ugh.
Yeah, I get super
Just read
timid
all
about
those
it.
horror stories, and everything where you go to YouTube and you see the dudes go to test drive like a brand new 2020
Yep.
something or other right off the lot and just rip, dead.
Blow the tires off.
Yeah.
I remember putting tires on cars when I worked at German and 911s and like higher power, Mercedes and 540s and stuff like that.
Especially snappy things. Like,
Well, you just pull out into the street and you try to just get into it to get up to traffic speed, and it'll just blow the tires off for no reason. Like, whoa! And then it does that through like a small burnout for a minute, and then you've scuffed off most of the mold release, and it's back to a grippy tire.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it can be enough to get you in trouble.
Interesting.
So I guess I'll mention some stuff that we did with Formula SAE things. Evaluating different tires, we looked at slip angle versus grip, lateral grip.
slip
If you can get the
angle?
graphs from a tire manufacturer, that's
Yeah.
really interesting.
It's pretty cool stuff. It's temperature dependent, it's surface dependent, but if you look at a controlled surface, comparing, two different tires or something, whatever, you can find out like how much lateral grip you get at X slip angle, and it's a curve that increases linearly, I believe, until it gets to a point where you're kind of peaking. It runs off to a curve, and
Well,
I don't know.
mean,
Usually,
you don't
like-
have to describe the curve, but you are actually gaining traction with tire slip up to a certain percentage.
right,
So,
typically like 5 to 8 degrees
Yeah.
is like peak.
well, that's also slip percentage in terms of rotation, not just slip angle.
Right.
It's very similar the way they percentages work out, but you can overspeed a tire ever so slightly, 6 to 8%, and you are still gaining traction over it being contacting the pavement 1-to-1. So, same applies sideways, which is cool.
Slip angle curves are pretty interesting to look at either way. It goes back to the friction circle of a car, right? You only have so much ability to turn and so much friction available, basically. You can only accelerate so much, brake so much, or turn so much all at the same time. You kind of run out of tire before, I guess, what happens, understeer or
Well, you run out of
oversteer.
one or the other. If you're turning
Yeah.
too hard, you run out of forward grip or braking grip, and then, you know what I mean? It's, cheap, good, fast type of thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's a
It is
similar
always,
trade-off.
especially when at work, testing different types of products and things like that, and just you're in some way, shape, or form always limited by tire because that's what makes the car go. You either stop or turn. So
Right.
it is kind of it's a weird thing to have to consider. But in terms of your, slip angle graphs and everything, I think that brings a good point. Obviously we talked a little bit about tread patterns and everything and touched on compounds, which I'm not really even going to try too hard on because I don't know much more than that.
Right.
But basically composition and mechanical composition of the tire itself, and if you look at a cross section of a tire, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's varying in thickness everywhere. There's all kinds of things molded into them, like belts, nylon liners, bead reinforcements, and all of those, of course, play into effect in terms of, how it performs in different ways.
Yeah, even the little ribs on the inside of a tire, I've heard are to kind of dissipate some of the heat and cool throughout.
Cooling fins.
Yeah, the internal cooling fins, sort of.
And air
It's
that
kind
doesn't
of.
move.
Interesting.
Well, I mean,
does
it
move,
does,
yeah.
but
Huh.
yeah, it's a complex thing. And if you think about it for different
And you got
applications,
bias
they
bias,
change.
and then you got
Yeah,
Well, almost
Like our
everything for
radials.
a performance application is going to be a radial ply, right?
nah.
What about off-road things? What
Well,
do they do?
For high speed, you want a radial construction, but for lower speed stuff, it's bias ply. Or if you're doing drag racing, that's bias ply.
Okay. Rally
Explain-
stuff's usually
what's
bias,
the difference
right?
here?
rally stuff is radial, and also the
Probably
sidewalls.
explain the
Like,
difference
Yeah.
between bias ply and
radial. Yep.
bias ply is just essentially layers of rubber, like
Around,
yeah,
like around the circumference of the wheel, wrapped basically in that direction.
right. So generally, you'll get some change in tire shape more easily. Like it can grow in diameter with higher speeds, or it'll conform to softer surfaces better.
Yeah, you don't really get the reinforcement that you would from a radial tire.
Right. Radial has belts
Yeah.
built into the rubber construction.
Your
Either
typical street tire.
Yeah.
It's radial.
Well, they're run the opposite. They're run perpendicular to a bias ply tire.
Well, I mean, either way, there is some reinforcement, but like you're never gonna see steel belts in a bias ply, regardless of direction.
I'm just saying the way that
not on the tread surface.
So like a semi tire would be a bias.
You can do them in the
ply?
beads.
the way
The
that
bead doesn't count. Yeah, that's just so you don't tear the
Standard
bead putting them on.
BPM.
But yeah,
it essentially just like defines the direction that the plies are laid.
I don't think so. No, it's the
That's
the
all right.
it's
They
the
do-
reinforcement inside.
I have read that they do
Radial
very,
goes from like the outside of the wheel to the inside of the wheel, that way, versus like the bias ply is wrapped around the circumference.
That's
of the wheel.
radial because it's a radius. So radial is the belt going around to change it so it can't balloon.
Other way around.
I don't think that's true.
the belts do go around.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to Kevin's point, they do layer the stuff in.
Yeah, there are
directions.
different directions of construction. That's the plies. That's not anything to do with bias ply versus radial. There are plies of a tire regardless.
Right.
So like semi tires, what's
That's a bigger.
Bias.
No, those are radials.
I know. And
I
they're,
think
They're
you got this
recaps.
backwards.
and they're,
No,
yeah,
they're
re-
radials.
retreads.
yeah? What's
Blech.
Yeah, retreads are a whole nother.
So
death
you know,
thing.
like when
Yeah.
you're driving down the highway, you see like just the tread of a
Yeah.
semi tire laying on the side of the road. And that's because
They're
in
just-
order to save money, they obviously they're just doing millions of miles as an infrastructure in itself. They
Right.
basically they take what's a good core of a tire, the belts and all that, and they
just put new rubber on it?
pretty much glue a new tread onto it,
Yep.
which
It's-
eventually just eat themselves. So,
Well, yeah, if they get too much heat into them,
Right.
then they'll delaminate.
Yeah.
Because
which usually comes from a flat tire. But
right, low tire pressure is usually why you see those. But yeah, it gets
Yeah.
too much heat in them, they delaminate in large death chunks
dude,
that will go through radiators.
no matter,
and
I don't
core
have to be on a
supports and-
motorcycle, but I could be in a car or whatever, and I'm just terrified of being next to semis for
Yep.
that reason,
Mm-hmm.
because that'll mess your day up.
That'll be no bueno.
Yeah.
I actually had one go off a little bit in front of me like a few weeks ago.
Did you?
Yeah, and I was like, I'm glad I'm back here and 3 lanes over.
I'm
But like
usually
I watched it
pretty good at
happen. It
finding
was
them
like, thump.
Well,
before they go.
At one
Oh
point
yeah,
in time,
they
in
make
the
weird
Miata,
noises.
Well, you can see it. Like you
Yeah,
start
it's
seeing
like-
like little floating debris kicking around on the road as little crumbs
Yep.
of like rubber
you're like,
kicking
"Ooh,
around.
it's
Yep.
somewhere, it's near.
Yeah. And then you usually see one like in the inside of a semi that's just flapping around.
Yep.
I didn't get like a full chunk, but I had something kick up a piece of tread at one point in time, and it hit the Miata, and I thought like the car was like totaled. It was so aggressive, and there's some mass
yeah, it's
behind
a,
those
it's
things.
a heavy piece of rubber.
Yeah, but
Okay, so I was wrong.
Oh,
Well, here's what actually defines it. Radial ply tires allow the contact surface and the sidewalls to be independent of each other.
Right.
Versus a bias ply tire could be wrapped at like 45 degrees across, but it's one continuous feature.
okay.
Right.
So
So
one,
they are
one is
they're
wrapped.
softer essentially. Like a bias ply will conform to different shapes versus the tread pattern of a radial basically stays in that, it stays that size and rough shape, and then the sidewall can conform separately. That's where you're getting your deflection is in the sidewall instead of the tread portion versus a bias ply. The entire carcass essentially can deform.
Sure.
So you look at like bias plies on a top fuel drag car, and that's why they stand up and balloon.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
But they're also better
what
for
we got.
carrying load.
bias plies? I don't think so.
bias ply.
Yeah,
No, I
no,
wouldn't think so.
that's-
Reinforcement
Yeah,
from a
radial-
radial tire is what you need for load, right?
Yeah.
I was just under the impression
Huh.
that like pretty much every tractor trailer tire ever was a bias ply tire.
No, because the problem with bias plies and why we don't use them on anything that goes fast is they turn into eggs very easily. They flat spot like crazy, and then like the center of the wheel isn't necessarily the center of the tire.
Yeah.
Like I've had the Super Swampers are a very common bias ply off-road tire you can still get, And if you let those sit at all, or just have something that's got kind of some steering play, and you try to go over 60 miles an hour, it's over. Like it's doing all sorts of shimmy shakes all over the place. You get death wobble.
Oh boy.
Because you're driving on egg-shaped things.
Right.
It does not work well.
Yeah.
And if it's funny though, like dead cold, they'll flat spot like crazy. Sometimes you can get enough heat into them where they start to get normal again.
Right.
But
yeah, I mean that's the interesting thing about like flat spotting in particular, and I mean even though it happens on radial tires, I mean that's really what's the only thing bringing them back is steel belts.
yeah, I feel like it's more the tread or the rubber outside of the radial belting that is deforming in flat spotting.
Yeah, but
versus
if
the whole
if it
thing.
wasn't for that, I mean that's why you're doomed on a bias ply.
Right. Like the Unimog has bias plies, and boy,
Yeah.
when it's cold out, or if you let it sit for a month or two.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could consider like any kind of ag tire, they're going to be bias ply.
Yeah, it's
because
just
there's
too
so
big.
much meat there. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't need anything else. It can be just rubber.
And you're not doing 100 miles an hour, like,
Right,
and
yes.
the RPM's lower if you are, so it's not as dramatic.
Yeah, right. 'Cause
You know what I mean?
I don't know even what sizes those things are, but a lot.
Yeah,
60,
there's just
80, 100 inches. I don't know.
it changes the RPM of the tire dramatically, and that's where you get. That's why I can get away without balancing the ones in the Unimog. It doesn't go fast enough for how big they are.
Right.
But if you tried to do 50 on
There's
a smaller tire,
Plenty of other vibrations and noise and things going on in that.
that
doesn't
not
really-
not balancey things, but
right.
Just doesn't go fast enough to notice.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And then I guess you got the opposite end of the spectrum. As speaking of slow things, I mean, we got bead locks. So if you're running,
Yeah.
bias plies at super low pressures,
Right.
then you have
and
wheels
tons
too.
of side load,
Yeah.
or even just drag cars at low
That's
tire
true.
pressure.
That's true. Yeah, that's applicable in going fast as well, I suppose.
Yep.
I didn't get to really consider that. But
Have you ever seen them where they mark them and they'll go a quarter turn like per launch if you don't have a
oh
bead
yeah.
lock?
Oh,
wow.
That's pretty wild.
Fun fact, I'm not going to, don't quote me on all of this, but I remember when they were doing, I read an article about when Nürburgring lap records were a thing, and the new Camaro ZL1 or something like that was trying to like just see in its class like what kind of lap time it could put down. They marked that, and the car was like, they had had to make some like a lot of performance cars had to make some
Right,
custom standard tire for it.
Right.
But they ended up having to like redesign the tire because it was slipping on the bead
Interesting.
with crazy power.
And that only gets worse as
We
it
should
gets
mark them
Yes.
on the Moto 4s.
Yeah,
They move.
You know,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
we definitely
Oh, yeah.
should. It would be interesting to see how much, though. I know for sure
Right.
that they do, but
Because remember, I had tubes in mine.
yeah.
And then
Oh,
the
you
valve
ripped-
stems
you
ran
ripped-
away. they got popped into the rim, and then they ran away. So I had to drill through the tube to get the tube back out.
But so anyways, the points of the bead locks is for that reason. Whether or not it's just a ridiculous amount of power. I mean, the only thing holding a tire to a rim is friction.
Friction and
Oh,
air
yeah.
pressure.
I guess you should explain what a bead lock is for people who don't know.
That's what I was
It's-
getting at. But go ahead.
There's two different types of bead
Well,
locks.
does
too.
it? Yeah, does
There's-
it work? Does it work in the same way on an off-road tire as it does for like a dirt bike or something? There's something.
No,
in
that's a rim clamp. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, kind of. So, like you're saying, a dirt bike tire has a big wedge inside, basically, usually opposed to where the valve stem is.
They're a giant pain. They're on the tires, but they pinch from the inside out and hold the bead against the outside of the wheel, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you don't have them, it's bad news. You'll shred
Yeah,
tubes immediately.
Dirt bikes will spin tires around all day.
Yep. But there's, a single bead lock or a double bead lock. Single bead lock is the most common, which is just the outside face, because that's what you're going to start bumping into stuff with, especially off-road wise. And you'll blow the outside bead off before the inside bead, usually.
That's what all aftermarket cheap truck wheels look like.
Yeah, usually they're fakes, but I hate the fake
I
ones.
hate it.
But you can get by with just a external or outside bead lock for most things. The other is the double bead lock.
Well,
which
how
is
does it
usually-
actually?
It's
lock
usually
the bead?
You can make your own too. You only mount the tire over one side, like from the face of the wheel. You only mount the rear bead over it, and
Yeah.
then it fits up against the face that's machined to the wheel, and there's this big bolt-on ring to sandwich the bead.
Yep.
And that's
They just machine off the outer lip of the rim, and
Well, sort of. It's
built
in
it's a
bigger,
different, yeah.
so-
right, but it's kind of essentially for just a visual reference. getting rid of that and then bolting on that outer surface to hold
clamping
the outer bead of the wheel.
So it's almost like
tire.
the wheel has to have an inside feature,
Yeah.
and then
Because it
You
has
can
to
do
clamp
weld-on
up against
rings
something, but
for
yeah.
like steel wheels and some aluminum ones now. You weld a new ring on the outside that's
okay.
got
So
nuts in it. and then
essentially,
you
when
can
you're
bolt a
mounting
new
the
one on.
tire, you get the inside lip over that edge,
Right.
and that goes onto the inside bead, and then the outside lip just kind of sits up
Sits up against a channel
It doesn't
that's
go
machined.
over it normally
No.
like a normal wheel, and essentially after that you bolt on the lip.
Right.
It
Yeah,
just
you bolt
pinches
on the
every
lip
time.
and it
Okay,
squeezes.
Makes sense.
So,
The double bead locks are not like that. Usually you have to put a sleeve inside the tire. Usually they're like PVC or something. You can cut them out of just a tube. And you have to put that inside the tire. Then you slip the whole thing over it. And then the rim is two-piece and it sandwiches that sleeve in between. So you put a little barrel piece between the two beads inside the tire. And then there's a flange that is your rim on one side and then on the other, and then you clamp it together.
I feel like you could just like flip the wheel over and pull it over the opposite side bead, and then just have the same.
Then you have bolts in like where brakes and stuff usually are, so it like breaks into your radius of where your brakes can be. So from a lower profile standpoint, it's usually simpler to put a
smaller
sleeve.
wheels. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But
So-
they can be a bear to mount.
Yeah. That sounds awful.
So in terms of like go fast stuff, the purpose of that is obviously just to keep the tire from slipping on the wheel, because that means you don't go anywhere, and like almost like a clutch or anything else, once
Yeah.
it slips, I mean, it's just going to keep slipping.
Oh yeah.
So, but then in terms of low speed stuff, allows you to get it out of some pickles, especially with the slow off-road stuff. You can
Yep.
really just air down to pretty much nothing.
Right. And put the tire up against something turned and not blow the bead off immediately.
Right. So really critical in terms of, especially if you're going out into the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, because you can have compressors all day and fix a flats and tire patches and all that, but it ain't gonna help you put a bead back on. Cause
Starter
that's-
fluid and a lighter. It's the
Yeah,
only
yeah,
hope.
yeah.
Bring that
But-
stuff with you.
Yep.
Yep.
We did it with map gas,
Yep.
and the map gas torch the other day on the ATV.
I've done it with
always
both
fun
brake
to do.
clean and
We were
starter
sitting there
fluid.
like, ooh, that's a lot. I'm like, no, we need
I
more.
know. Well, I got nervous because you definitely need way more than you think you do. Because
Yeah.
a little brake clean will go a long way,
Yeah.
but the map gas you just need
No.
like a ton of it.
Yep.
But and
You
it was
know.
just
Because it won't go off if it's not the right mixture.
right. Yeah.
It's the funniest thing because I was at my old boss's house doing like demo work, and he had one of those big dollies with the rubber tires on it, and he was, "Oh, we can't use a dolly; it's got a flat tire." And I was like, "You got some brake clean?" And he was like, "What do you need that for?" And I was like, "Give me your lighter." So of course I spray it and throw it in there, and sure enough, it reseals. He's like, "I've never seen anybody
if you haven't done that,
before,
like
ever."
you should learn to do that because
Yeah.
it
Be
works
careful,
for like lawnmower tires, like
It works
It's
for
a
small
it's a
application stuff. You can do it with big application stuff. Just be careful.
It's especially helpful for the bias ply stuff, the really soft things, or like new tires that have like a set to them if they were like banded together and just the
anything
beads
that's
are-
not like a car tire pretty
Yeah.
much requires that,
yeah.
or
What
a
works?
cheetah, which is the safer way to go, but
but barely works.
I've
half
also
the time.
I've also done.
depends. The big ones
I've
work.
honestly never had it work.
I've used the big one. The ones like Atasha tire machines usually aren't enough, but the big boys, like you hold in a big
I've tried them
propane
both.
tank.
I've used a ratchet strap before too. If you don't want to use
Ugh,
fire or
scary.
chemicals, you can use a ratchet strap
Doesn't
and
always
occasionally
work. Oh,
get it.
we started that with the Moto 4 tire. We
Yeah.
had the ratchet strap and the map gas. That
Yeah.
did it.
You can kind of get it to where if you can get it to hold enough air, it'll pop the bead on. But
Or if you're like
it's a little safer
a
than
mega hot boy and putting a 195 on like an 11-inch wide wheel.
Yeah, all the stretch.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that'll work too. But
And people got their beads not even against the outside of the
I don't.
wheel. But it
Don't-
still seals,
it's-
kind of.
It's too much. That's too much for me. Even I'm like, I see some stretch sometimes, and I'm like, ooh, no.
The stretch doesn't bother me. It's the camber. I like a reasonable amount of stretch.
No,
but
I would.
I don't want to see
gets
the
to a point where
barrel
the-
of the rim.
I don't want to see the barrel of the rim.
The
I
tire
agree.
just doesn't stretch anymore, and then but it still
Yeah,
seals
it's just
somehow.
flat.
Yeah,
Just
That's
a-
impressive to me.
it's impressive. I want nothing to do
stupid.
with it.
The fact that it still seals is like,
Though. Yeah,
how?
right,
They used 3 cheetahs and map gas. That's
At
how.
the same time.
right.
And a ratchet strap.
Right.
The other thing to keep ready if you're doing the flammable installation method there is
Which we do
keep your
not-
air near you.
Yeah.
Get more air. Yeah.
Well, because as soon as it cools, once that thing goes pop,
suck the
it
bead right
sucks
back
the bead
off.
right back off. You watch it start turning inside out and like
you're
sucking its way in.
You're like, yeah, I got it. And you're running around cheering with your friends and everything. And then you turn around and it's back off.
Yep.
You're like, oh, shit.
I remember I did some 37s for my Forerunner way back when that way. And with the valve stem in, I couldn't get enough air in fast enough before it cooled. So I had to pull everything apart in order to do it.
Yep.
That sounded like you dropped like a basketball from space. It was the loudest kaboing noise I've ever experienced.
Well,
If you have the right size tire, the thing will jump off the ground too.
Yeah. We recommend not doing any of this. Don't. This
I
is
recommend
just stuff.
oh,
this
definitely.
is just stuff.
I think this is definitely something everybody needs to experience.
we
So
are
they're gonna
not
do sue us,
responsible.
like,
We were not
CAD
responsible.
Cars told me to light my tires on fire, so I did.
Yeah, we're not responsible if you hurt yourself if you do this. Though.
Yeah, you try to be
Yeah,
reasonable
don't
about
stand over top of it because,
Yeah.
if you're not running something stretch and the sidewall just blows the whole setup off the ground, into your
Blow your
face,
face
don't
off, yeah.
look at it, but it's relatively safe. I mean, nothing's,
Yeah.
tires are strong.
It's hard to
Yeah, as long as you're
hard
not.
to mess it up, honestly.
So,
Yeah. So yeah.
What else we got?
I don't know. Kind of exhausted my tire knowledge a little bit.
Yeah.
about,
I mean, I know there's more to it. I just don't
There
know
is.
enough to try and
Isn't
educate.
like what is it, like Smithers or something? They do like a bunch of tire testing, right?
Yeah,
So
they do
Rubber
test
City
anything.
here, they do. There's a company locally that's called Smithers, and they do a bunch of evaluation of OEM.
Yeah, they actually have a proving ground up in Michigan, which unfortunately we learned after I think the last
Goodyear specific, right? Or is that
No,
Smithers?
no, Smithers has their own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goodyear also has one.
Yeah, they do. And I want to get in good with somebody who lets us use a proving ground. Maybe I'll talk to them because I remember they came to visit and they were telling us about their capabilities and everything. And we're like, maybe for winter beer we could go, instead of going to Snowdrift, we can go to like a proving ground to do a challenge or something.
Sounds expensive, but we'll start working those friend cards there.
Hey man, yeah, you never know.
Yeah, Goodyear used to help us out with SAE stuff. And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, just come
That's
down
the other thing.
and,
I was
use it for the day.
I'm
That doesn't matter,
surprised that
whatever
we've
you wanna do."
never asked in terms of like ECS.
I didn't
testing
even think
stuff,
about
like,
that. Honestly, that wasn't something that crossed my mind.
Hey,
I think we tried to use Goodyear as a little smaller proving ground in Akron.
yeah, they do.
We have contacted them about that.
Yeah,
and
it's
that
actually
that was
right,
expensive.
right by my
Okay.
house.
Okay.
Yeah,
They charge you the monies there. Okay.
it makes sense.
Yep.
But if you ever seen a tire on like a belt tester, it's like a
Ooh, those are
hydraulic
terrifying.
arm that just like turns a thing on a rolling belt and it just beats the crap out of it. I don't know what they're testing for, but I'm
Well,
sure
it's
they have
load, right?
plenty of different parameters.
Yeah, it's like even just watching a tire on the dyno's kind of interesting because it's a high pressure point on the roller.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I had 35s on my Nissan where that was LS swap, and I was having that tuned on the dyno.
Mm-hmm.
And like I put more air pressure in because I was kind of nervous, and then you'd watch it on the roller. Right behind it would be a wrinkle that sunk into the tire.
Yeah.
just because the way
It's
it was
just going
loaded.
the opposite direction. It's like following like a
Yeah, it was horrifying.
Yeah.
I was like standing near that the first couple runs. I'm like, nope, get out of here.
Right.
Yeah, try not to stand near anything on the dyno.
No,
In
get out
front
of
or
there.
behind. That's
Yeah.
not the place to be.
Watch out for drive shafts. There's a lot of different ways parts can come out.
Things are moving very quickly.
45 degrees behind it seems like the safe spot.
Yeah, it's about
if
it.
anything.
In front too, but
Yeah, it's not gonna jump off the thing and go 100 miles an hour. So
No.
I don't know much else about tires other than like how to. I don't know. Just playing with them and kind of learn by some trial and error
let's
here.
let's gauge interest on this episode. See what people thought of what we've discussed so far, and then if we want to hear a part two, we'll get Kyle from Firestone in here and talk about.
Bridgestone.
Bridgestone.
they're both here.
Yeah.
Isn't that the same though?
And so is Goodyear.
Bridgestone's here.
Bridgestone is in the old Firestone building, which
Yep.
is probably why you're confused.
Okay.
Which is right down the street from me in Firestone Park, which they
Yep.
named everything around there after
Right.
Firestone.
So Bridgestone's in Firestone Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to have
now,
a
yeah.
Yeah.
we have a fight because I live in the Goodyear area, Mike.
I could not care less.
Yeah, Goodyear Heights.
shit.
Yeah, Goodyear Heights. Let's go.
But there's a lot of stuff we haven't touched on. There's like basically reading tires in terms of how maybe your alignment's wrong or like your shocks are blown. There's like
Heat
things
cycling,
you can, yeah,
things like that. What else we got?
weird feathering issues and I don't know. There's stuff that we haven't talked
It's
about.
complicated,
Yeah,
but it
it's
is. There's no like direct answer. There's like rules of thumb
And like honestly,
It's
we
not an
didn't
exact
really
science.
talk about compounds at all
because I don't really know enough.
because I don't know enough.
Yeah.
But it's a thing. So, anyways, I think it's probably a good spot to wrap it up.
Yeah, I covered enough for one
Yeah.
session here.
You know, if you're interested in learning more, let us know, and we'll get somebody who knows to know more than we do.
Yeah, so we can all learn.
Yeah.
Wrap it up, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave, where are we? Where can you listen to us, Dave?
The internet.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
That's all they need to know.
Yep.
Okay, bye.
Although you guys would like me to close it that easily, I'm not giving you the
You
satisfaction.
could have just ended it there.
Yeah, I could. Listen to us on Spotify.
Damn it.
If they got this far, they know. Come on.
Well, that's not true.
I think this marks, 30 episodes?
Well, so I know that we have had some growth rate. 31, I think. Last
Oh,
episode
damn it.
was 30.
Yeah.
That was some sort of milestone.
I will contribute some of the growth to us, including it in some of the campaigns we've been sending out.
Just going to take that away from us, huh, Dave?
Yeah. you're
Oh,
saying
it's,
that
hey,
just
look,
really
I need
try
it.
to-
You sure it wasn't just when I posted it to
I don't know. It's
Instagram?
pretty linear. I didn't
maybe,
really see a big
Kevin.
spike.
I forgot you were a hot boy on
We're all trying to
Instagram.
help.
Yeah,
Mike's the
wow.
hot boy now.
Yeah, no one's gotten me pictures, so I can make a post.
Oh, shit. I forgot.
Oh, interesting.
Throw me under the bus. All right. Well, yep. Listen to us on the internet and follow us on Instagram.
There you go.
Thanks.
Okay, bye. Thanks.